let's talk about Biden as well. So I was reading articles. You've written this that if Joe Biden wins, there is a possibility of us having a stability in decision making. He's going to be obviously less unpredictable, and also there's going to be more focus on green power and climate change. Something that Donald Trump has completely ignored. He denies that there's a climate change, and of course we've also. Well, on one hand, I say that's great, that's good. But I would take the liberty of saying here that there's a certain fear, because in India, what happens is that people have noticed that whenever a president from the Democratic Party has come to power, it's seen that even in the time of Clinton, even in the time of Obama, there is a certain interference in the internal matters of India. They will not shy away to talk about Kashmir. They will not shy away to talk about religious freedom or the condition of Indian Muslims in India. And topics that would really upset us Indians. But on the other hand, when Donald Trump was in power, he did not really comment on the CAA or the abrogation of 370. What are your thoughts on that?
No, look, I think you have different constituencies in the United States. This is, just as you have in every democratic country, including in India, and which emphasize different things. And for Trump, I think issues like the social policies of other countries simply just isn't an issue for him. In the US, I think you'll always have, and you have had for many years. I mean, going back to even before World War II, you've had a strong constituency that has believed in, putting a vision of an American vision of human rights up front and center in American foreign policy. You have this on the right and the left. You have Republicans and a lot of Democrats, and you'll continue to have that. So I think that there will always be voices that believe, and they will criticize not just India, although every mention of India will receive a lot of attention in the Indian press. But these are the same people who will also criticize China and Russia and Pakistan and Iran and Saudi Arabia and frankly also the United States as well. So I think that there will always be that constituency. I think that they're entitled to their views, and I think there's not always a need. I think every minor mention gets a lot of attention in India, sometimes disproportionate to the actual intent of what they're trying to say. I think there's a second issue at play as well, which is there is also a level of constituency building in the United States as well. And sometimes a lot of the comments, particularly lately, have been in response to constituents' views in the US as well. So I think that we'll continue to have that dynamic, regardless of whether Trump or Biden wins, particularly amongst certain members of the US Congress. So that will continue. At the same time, I think there is an understanding about what developments are taking place in India. People in the Democratic Party have been briefed about this, as have many Republicans. Some have been persuaded, some have not. So I think there's a tendency to overread a little bit into all of that. The fact is that under both Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, the U.S.-India relationship actually deepened. And so I don't see any reason to believe that the differences that may actually exist and may be real in terms of these views will actually derail the overall India-US relationship, as some people in India have portrayed it. And frankly, as some people in India would actually like to see it happen. They would like to see more of the India-US relationship not move forward for various reasons. So I don't think it's going to be as big an issue. Although I do think some continued criticism, and again not unique to India, will continue. Immigration, I think there will be some movement towards immigration reform. Biden has himself spoken about this and how that would benefit Indian Americans. But I think a lot will still hinge on what legislation Congress is able to pass. Environmental issues will be another one which will be back on the table. I think the uncertainty is a little bit on the overall strategic outlook, particularly what their approach to China would be and the consequent approach. There's definitely many Democrats who would essentially like to see a continuation of what Trump has been putting in place with the free and open Indo-Pacific, but there are others who have greater skepticism about that and believe that engagement, some form of engagement with China is on the cards. I think the other issue, there are other issues in the bilateral relationship, including defense sales and such, where there isn't a great deal of clarity. But I think in the absence of a great deal of clarity, we should expect a continuation of current policy.